Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and Marvel's Wonder Man is coming January 2026 with a first teaser for this series. Daredevil Born Again Season 2 will connect to Spider-Man Brand New Day in some way, and with X-Men 97 Season 2 coming next year, Marvel execs are now starting to comment on that Bo DeMeo drama. Hey, it's New York Comic Con weekend, and here is a preliminary recap of all the big news we just learned about Marvel Studios' plans from Marvel head of TV and animation Brad Winderbaum. In this video, I'm going to break it all down for you, and I am wearing our Wayland Yutani shirt that you can get exclusively at our merch store, nerdriot.shop. It's like my favorite shirt design that's ever come out of that shop. Getting one of these as like a gift option for your friend or yourself or your loved one or your synth is really just the best way you can support us here at New Rockstars. All right, let's get into the news here. Starting with Wonder Man. This 8-episode series is coming to Disney Plus in January of 2026, pushed back from its planned release date of December of this year. Let's look at the teaser.
The entertainment world is stunned today when internationally celebrated and reclusive filmmaker Von Kovac sprung out of retirement to sign on for his first franchise film and remake of Wonder Man. Mr. Von Kovac, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I know your question is, why one more superhero film? Yeah? Everyone is tired of superheroes. Why go see them in the cinema? Wonder Man spoke to me on a deep level. There is an opportunity to shock audiences.
Holy shit.
To reimagine a whole genre of storytelling.
Have you given any thought about casting?
Okay, so the character of Wonder Man in the Marvel Comics is Simon Williams, a stunt actor in Hollywood who gets irradiated with ionic energy that gives him superpowers. His brother is the Marvel villain, the Grim Reaper. Both brothers are sons of Sanford Williams of Williams Innovations, a tech company. And there's some kind of scandal that affects the company, and Eric Williams, the Grim Reaper, ends up taking it over. You may have heard me bring up the Grim Reaper in the context of Vision, because he does have connections with Vision in the comics. I don't know if they're going to connect Vision as in the future plans of Vision Quest to this show, we'll see. But really in the comics, Simon gets manipulated by Baron Zemo to initially infiltrate the Avengers to bring them down from the inside, but Simon ends up having a change of heart and he becomes a proper member of the West Coast Avengers. And with She-Hulk being on the West Coast, that might be something that Marvel Studios is trying to do here on the TV front. This show looks like it's reinterpreting the story as more of a meta Hollywood satire, something like what we saw on the Apple TV Plus show The Studio, with the kind of humor that we saw She-Hulk going for. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II is playing a version of Simon Williams on this series, and this actor actually showed up on the red carpet for Fantastic Four First Steps dressed as Simon Williams' look from the comics. The director we see in this show, Von Kovac, is played by Zlatko Buric, who played the Baravian president Gurkos in James Gunn's Superman. He strikes me as like a Lars von Trier type of director who's coming to direct a big franchise superhero film. We actually see on this webpage of We Know Cinema, which seems to be a parody of Cinema Blend and other sites like that, that Von Kovac won a Golden Lion, which is the top prize at the Venice Film Festival. This laptop looks like it's in the office of a fancy agent. Ed Helms will be joining this series as Simon's agent Neil Soroyan. In this show and in MCU history, Wonder Man was a 1970s or maybe early 80s superhero film before there were big budget cinematic universes, something that seems to be more of a cult classic that's now being rebooted. We see from a vintage VHS tape and a thermos and a lunchbox that the actors of that older film were named Brent Willard and Jackie Kay. Actually, in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, James Gunn had a set poster in which Nathan Fillion would have been playing a version of Simon Williams like this in the MCU, but that gag ended up being removed from the film. We see footage of this older film with campy Star Trek the Original Series style effects, and it's being watched in a movie theater and has a big impression on who I assume is a young Simon with his father Sanford. Now, the actor Yahya Abdul-Mateen we know is in his 30s. His childhood movies would have been what mine were in the 90s. And 90s movies did not look like this. So maybe this would have been like a re-release, the way, you know, the Star Wars original trilogy films were re-released in 1997. Brad Winderbaum compared it to kids who grew up watching the 1978 Superman or the 1989 Batman. Then we see influencers posing in front of the Hollywood sign based off of a production hat. The show's title card uses a similar jumbled capital letter typeface as a Hollywood sign. We see another shoot from a production called Cash Grab 2. Then we see a concept art board from Von Kovac that shows art from past MCU movies. MCU movies in this meta show? We see Steve Rogers' 2014 era Captain America Winter Soldier suit. We see Black Panther. We see Thor. We also see Steve Rogers again from, I think that's the elevator scene with the shield strapped to his back. And I think that's Iron Man in the bottom right. Ben Kingsley returns on the series as Trevor Slattery, who first appeared in Iron Man 3 as the fake Mandarin, being played by British actor Trevor Slattery. And then Slattery returned in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings as the court jester of Wenwu. This series is being described as a two-hander with Trevor and Simon as two actors struggling through Hollywood. Then there's a black and white shot that I think is Josh Gad. Josh Gad will be in the show and we think he's playing himself. Then we only get one shot of Yaya in this teaser reacting to Von Kovac's announcement. This teaser was actually cut by friend of the channel Andrew Hegley, who also edited the amazing Black Panther Wakanda Forever trailer back in July 2022. Good job, Andrew! Now, other things we know about the series, Demetrius Gross will be in this show as Eric Williams, the Grim Reaper, Simon's brother, and Ariane Moayed will return from Spider-Man No Way Home and Ms. Marvel as DODC agent Cleary. Brad Winderbaum told Entertainment Weekly that the show will be a love letter to Hollywood and a meta parody of Marvel Studios projects similar to the studio. He said it's a brainchild of Destin Daniel Cretton, the Shang-Chi director, and now directing Spider-Man Brand New Day, and head writer Andrew Guest, who worked on Hawkeye. It's going to be 8 episodes coming January 2026. When asked why it was delayed, Winderbaum compared that to their decision to release WandaVision in January of 2021, and he said he didn't want this title to compete with, everyone streaming Elf and Die Hard. He probably also didn't want to compete with people streaming Stranger Things this holiday season. Years ago, I got this unexpected payment for a job I had finished a long time ago. For me, someone who's naturally anxious about money, that felt like a safety net. My first thought was, great, this will help if things get tight later on. But then a friend of mine who isn't nearly as anxious about money told me, you should splurge, buy yourself a new PlayStation. So I did. And the second that money was gone, the regret set in. I couldn't stop thinking about how I should have saved it. Instead of feeling relieved, I ended up more stressed than before, losing sleep, worrying about bills, and kicking myself for making that choice. That advice worked for him, but it created more anxiety for me. And that's the thing, anyone can give you advice, but that doesn't mean it's the right advice for you. That's why I'm glad BetterHelp is sponsoring today's video, and they are on a mission to make starting therapy easier. Unlike friends or strangers who mean well but don't fully understand your situation, therapy gives you a safe space with someone trained to help you work through what you're going through. I know firsthand how much the right fit matters. I once worked with a therapist who just wasn't right for me. Their approach left me feeling unheard and stuck, but later when I found the right therapist, everything changed, and it created an environment where I could work through my problems honestly without self-censoring. I could finally open up honestly and start making progress. That's why BetterHelp created the Therapist Match Commitment to take the guesswork out of finding the right therapist. Instead of leaving you to figure it out alone, BetterHelp uses over a decade of matching expertise, clinical experience, and your preferences to match you with someone who makes sense for you. And if it's not working out, you can switch anytime at no extra cost. Therapy has made such a difference in my life, and it can do the same for you. So if you've ever felt stuck with advice that didn't help, BetterHelp makes it easier to find the right kind of support. You can get started today by clicking on the link in the description or by visiting betterhelp.com/newrockstars, and you will get 10% off your first month of therapy. Okay, on to Daredevil Born Again Season 2. This is the first official photo of Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock in his dark suit. It's hard to tell that it is a shade of black based off all the red lighting here. And probably the biggest headline here is that there's going to be a Spider-Man Brand New Day crossover. Here's what Brad Winderbaum said about it. We are communicating a lot with the team on Spider-Man Brand New Day to make sure that there's coherence there. We don't want to spoil anything, but it very much exists in the same world and it is important. We're in a shared universe together. But I would say just the Daredevil comic books, the Punisher comic books depicted a certain tone and an idea of New York in a different way than Spider-Man's, but they both exist in the same universe. It's similar. Everything lines up and the impacts are felt, but we're able to tell different stories. So interesting. This seems to contradict Kevin Feige's implication back in July that Daredevil Born Again Season 2 would not be referencing anything from Marvel Studios' Thunderbolts film, but it is going to be in the same version of New York as Spider-Man Brand New Day. As of this taping, we don't know yet if Daredevil Born Again Season 2 will come out before or after Brand New Day, but with Frank Castle appearing in both titles, I think that is really the connective tissue that Brad Winderbaum is talking about. But we know from set photos from Spider-Man Brand New Day that there will be some kind of prison break involving a helicopter that's going to airlift Michael Mando's Scorpion out of Rikers prison on behalf of Mr. Negative, maybe? For Daredevil Born Again Season 2, it was confirmed that Kristen Ritter is returning as Jessica Jones and that she will be joining Matt Murdock's resistance against Wilson Fisk's anti-vigilante task force. And when asked whether Luke Cage and Danny Rand could also be coming back, back, especially since Michael Coulter has appeared with the cast in certain public appearances. Brad Winderbaum says, quote, "The less I say, the better. Dario Scardapani, the showrunner, is trying to tell a story to great effect that is, like Stan Lee said, a reflection of the world outside your window. The politics of New York are a big part of that story. It's clearly about a guy who runs around in a devil suit, but what is amazing about Dario's work is the intricacy of the interplay of all these characters and how he really treats New York and the world of City Hall and the groundswell of the growing resistance against Fisk. It feels at times like a fantasy epic or Game of Thrones or something. There's a palace intrigue type storytelling that is really fun to read. I'm starting to watch the cuts, it's amazing. So I don't know if it's exactly about who's gonna show up. It's a little deeper than that. There are rewards to be had for fans, but it's really about the stakes of this world that this Kingpin is building in New York City." Also, Brad Winderbaum confirmed that Eldon Henson will be back in season 2 as Foggy Nelson. Since he died in season 1, does that mean we're gonna get some ghost Foggy? Does it mean we're gonna see some Foggy flashbacks? Also, Matt Lillard's character was confirmed. His name is Mr. Charles. Brad Winderbaum said, quote, "The story is about power. When Wilson Fisk takes over New York, not just as mayor, but as a king in a way, it puts him in a new class of power players on the international stage. Matt Lillard's character represents that. So he's a bit of a new antagonist on the field, but he's as influential in many ways as Fisk is. That power negotiation at a very high level of politics and international diplomacy is also fun to watch. He is dealing with Mr. Charles up here and Daredevil down there for different reasons, so he's getting squeezed a little bit. So it sounds like Mr. Charles could be a representative of a place like, oh, I don't know, Madripoor? Like kind of a shady power player from an international stage. Now, whereas season 1, of course, is a product of reshoots from the earlier version of the show, season 2 will be more consistent as it was all written by Benson and Moorhead and directed by Dario Scardapani, and those are the guys who show ran Loki season 2. And despite what I've said before, there will be a 3rd season of the series that's being worked on right now. Okay, now let's move on to X-Men 97 season 2. That's also coming at some point in 2026. Brad Winderbaum was asked about the showrunner change, and he said, quote, "Well, first and foremost, it's actually the entire creative team, same director, same producer, same cast, many of the same writers, and it's standing on the shoulders of giants. One thing that makes X-Men 97 work so well is that everybody's rowing in exactly the same direction. Everyone that works on the show knows that original series inside and out, and we work very closely with Eric and Julia Lewald and Larry Houston. Those are the creators of X-Men the animated series. They're here all the time reviewing material and talking to the artists. The second season feels very much a worthy successor to the first season." Entertainment Weekly asked about Apocalypse and the tease of Gambit as the Angel of Death, and Brad Winderbaum said, quote, "That tease certainly matters, and Apocalypse is a big part of season 2. Entertainment Weekly asked why Ross Marquand said a lot of the characters will die in season 2, and Winderbaum said, quote, "I saw something about that. I would say that it is the same stakes as season 1. I wouldn't characterize it as a lot of characters die. It's not Marvel Zombies, but like many great anime shows like X-Men 97 season 1, mortality's on the table, and some of these characters want to do what's right at any cost." And then Entertainment Weekly asked about some specific thoughts about Beau DeMayo. And here's what Winderbaum said. He said, "We've talked about this before. I'm grateful to Beau. We launched this series together. I think he did excellent work. Frankly, I don't really look at it or read any of it, so I don't really know." So I covered the timeline of Beau DeMayo's firing and what we could exclusively confirmed as the reasons why in this video from 2024. I have no further update on that, so watch that if you want my thoughts on it. So just to end this video on everything we know as of this taping about the full Marvel slate, both Disney Plus releases and films. Wonder Man is coming January 2026, X-Men 97 season 2 sometime in 2026, Daredevil Born Again season 2 sometime in 2026, Spider-Man Brand New Day July 31st, 2026, Punisher special presentation on Disney Plus sometime in 2026, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man season 2, that animated show also sometime in 2026, and Vision Quest sometime in 2026. Avengers Doomsday will be December 18th, 2026, and we might get a trailer for Doomsday with Avatar Fire and Ash coming this December in 2025, Avengers Secret Wars coming December 17th, 2027. Now in February 2028, Disney and Marvel have some date locked down, but no title announced for it yet. Many of us believe it could be Blade or Black Panther 3. There's been some speculation that Marvel Studios' X-Men film could be coming May 5th, 2028. That was rumored by Jeff Snyder. And then similarly in November 2028, another release date saved, but we don't know for what. Could be Blade, could be Black Panther 3, could be for Doctor Strange 3, or even Shang-Chi 2. Hey, if you love what we're doing here in the New Rockstars Network, we have a new horror channel called The Witching Hour. And the next video coming out will be me discussing Longlegs. So please subscribe to that channel. Comment down below with your thoughts on all this, and a special thanks to one of our YouTube members, Frederick Price, for supporting us at the executive producer level. Follow me at EA Voss and subscribe to all the channels on the New Rockstars Network for breakdowns and news coverage of everything you love. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.